Hi everyone, welcome to this Winter Solstice mini virtual workshop. Thank you so much for being here. Um, I would just get comfy. If you like to take notes, feel free to take notes. But if you just want to listen and receive this information, that is great too. Let's just take one moment to ground ourselves, arrive here wherever you are. If you want to close your eyes, you're welcome to. Or you can just soften your gaze, but take a moment to sit up nice and tall through the crown of your head. Relax your shoulders away from your ears, soften your face. And let's take a breath together. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Okay, thank you. So happy solstice to you, and thank you for being here again, carving out this time. I'm just going to talk about what the solstice means and what it represents, and this is really just an intended informational use for you to use as you want, and to maybe just keep in mind as we move through the next couple months of winter. So this is winter solstice is the very first day of winter. That's what it represents. Today marks the first day of winter, and it's known to be the longest night of the year because we see the least amount of sunshine on this day. But then from this point forward, we start to have a little bit more light throughout the day. Yay. Which we eventually move towards summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. So for folks who live in the southern hemisphere, they're actually experiencing their summer solstice while we experience the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere. So winter solstice is really this embracing of duality and this cyclical return to sunlight. This point in time that we experience every year is a cycle that we go through every year. And then we get to the spring equinox, then we go to summer, then fall, and then back to winter. So it's really a beautiful time to honor the seasons and the change of the seasons and what that means for us and how we are changing as well as the trees, as the plants, the animals. We are also part of nature. So it's connecting to that innate wisdom that nature provides for us. Winter is also known as the peak yin season, so yin and yang. So summer solstice is like the peak of yang season. So in winter, we're experiencing the most yin energy that we experience all year long. And yin qualities really are that of slowness, reflection, receptivity, and feminine energy. It's also correlated to fall. Fall is also a yin season, so fall and winter, but this is kind of like the peak of it. So it's like the ultimate slowing down. If you think about, I've noticed all the plants in my yard have mostly lost all of their leaves, but if you look closely, there's still little buds on them. They're still alive. They just have gone dormant. So there's been this natural slowing down from fall to winter. So the themes that you might hear very commonly said with this time of the year is rebirth and renewal. So the rebirthing part is really what we're working towards as we move towards spring, and renewing and replenishing all of our energy this time of the year. That's why the plants go dormant. It's also just a really essential time to honor the darkness So you might think about the actual darkness. If we didn't have darkness, right, it would be really challenging for us to sleep. Right? Our bodies just naturally know this rhythm. It's getting dark. It's time to go to bed. It's time to wind down. There's so much regeneration that happens in the darkness. And then also, you might even think about darkness as these shadowy parts of ourselves that maybe are these like inner layers of ourselves. Maybe it's the part of ourselves that we don't like to shine light on, but it's still a part of us, right? So it's honoring all aspects of ourselves, not just the shiny parts that we like for others to see, but also maybe those parts that we only shine with the people closest to us, like family members, our partners, our siblings. So this time of the year, it gives us the opportunity also to slow all the way down and pause and reflect so that our forward motion is filled with intention. Right? If you think about times where you are stressed out or moving from one thing to the next, for me, in my experience, I tend to trip, I tend to fall, I tend to spill things when I'm in a rush. I'm not moving intentionally the way that I do when I slow things down. So winter is really this opportunity to kind of cultivate that skill, because it is a skill set in our society that works on capitalism and grind culture and moving really fast. It's a skill set that we are naturally able to connect to, but still requires intention to slow down. So just as we need the sun's radiance for growth, we also need darkness to rest and restore. And I think that that's a very important part of this season to remember, that we are part of nature, right? And that we move with nature. And we can connect to the rhythms of nature if we really want to. So in traditional Chinese medicine, I often refer to traditional Chinese medicine because they have studied for thousands of years the cycles of nature. And I teach yin yoga, and yin yoga is greatly influenced by traditional Chinese medicine. So that's why you'll hear me referring to it a lot. But according to that, the winter season is associated with the water element. And it symbolizes adaptability, depth, and renewal. It's crucial for balance and wellness. And it affects our health, our emotions, our spiritual growth. Water represents wisdom in Chinese cultures, and it teaches us to be flexible and resilient, much like the flow of water. So it's a time for slowing down, as I've said. It's a time for deep rest. So this energy, this water element, can be replenished, can be preserved. If you've ever, taken a bath, just recognizing how a bath can sometimes feel really replenishing, or a shower, or splashing water on your face, the way that it can kind of refresh and rebalance and renew the whole system when we bring water into our lives. So it's just kind of one way to think about water being this ruling element of this time of the year. And water is really one of the most nourishing and essential substances for living, for life, right? And according to Chinese medicine, this element stores much of people's reserves of energy. So that's why it's really crucial in the winter time to stay replenished, to drink a lot of water, And this time of year, overwork and lack of sleep especially depletes the water element. And in Chinese medicine, there are always two organs that are associated with the season. And the kidneys is one of those organs. And the kidneys is kind of what runs the function of water in our body. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And especially if you take the yin yoga flow that I recorded, there's a emphasis on moving the energy through the kidney meridian lines in our body to restore our Jing energy, the type of energy that is produced from the kidneys, according to Chinese medicine. If you think about water and the wisdom that it's teaching us, it's to flow, it's to move, it's to adapt. Water moves effortlessly, and it takes the exact form of whatever contains it, right? If you pour it into a cup, if you pour it into a bath, it fills up that container with ease. So a balanced water element is able to move smoothly through the season with strength, with courage, and with willpower. There's this sense of flow and ease and an alignment even to one's own purpose or one's own destiny. There is depth, darkness, mystery to water. The emotion that is associated with the water element is fear. So inappropriate amounts of fear is essential to survival because it helps us navigate situations with care and with caution. But when the water element is out of balance, one might experience too much fear, maybe a lack of courage, maybe a stagnant energy, this immovable force that fear can kind of cause. So it's a really important season to take care of the body from the inside out and think about this flow of water and maybe what ways you feel more balanced in maybe when you go to a body of water, maybe when you're near the ocean or by a river or hearing the sound of water, or maybe it's something more like, going to spa treatments and sitting in a warm pool or a hot pool. When do you feel replenished? Yeah, I'll leave that at that. So, why celebrate this? What's the celebration part? I mean, obviously there's kind of like the main thing. We're returning to light. We've made it through the darkest day of the year and we're on our way back to the sun. But that does not mean that it's going to happen right away. If any of us live in Pacific Northwest, we know that the darkness can kind of really take hold actually around this time. And so this time of year has been celebrated for centuries through many different ways, across many different cultures. And this time of the year evokes really strong feelings for many. And those feelings likely go all the way back to our ancestors, which I think is kind of a really beautiful thing that we can still, live in such a modern society that maybe our ancestors would have never dreamed of, but we can still honor and celebrate this time of the year and what it means for us, and that the cycle of nature is one of those things that doesn't necessarily change. So this is a really critical point of the sun's cycle, and the sun impacts all of us. And it's because we're entering this new direction of energy, right? And we're starting to move towards a phase of completion. We're ending the year. We're wrapping things up. It's this point that we start to reflect on the lessons of the past year, and what those lessons brought us, what those challenges brought us, what we accomplished. So it's an important time to think about the last year, the last seasons that we've moved through. It's really at this time that we begin shifting towards something new. And maybe that newness is still unclear, but this season of winter is like, I like to think of it as like this incubation period of what am I planting what seeds am I planting that I want to see bloom in spring, come spring equinox? What am I hoping for? What am I hoping to see come to light? We have to plant seeds underground for them to grow roots first. And then, over time, it starts to bloom and go through that next period of spring, which is a whole other thing. But this is that period of kind of nourishing the roots under the ground, which can be kind of fearful to look at. If you have a meditation practice, you know that sometimes going inward can be a really scary thing, to get quiet, to be with our thoughts, to be alone, all of that. So that is essentially what winter solstice represents. I really love this time of the year because it feels like there's this opportunity to really just let go of what no longer serves us. It's honestly the time of the year where I'm I'm tired. I'm ready to turn in. I'm kind of done with the bullshit. And it's that time where there's a sense of confidence in us to let go. Because if you think of yourself as a tree, a deciduous tree that loses its leaves, when it gets cold, when winter season is frigid, it's challenging. You can't hold on to all of your leaves. You got to let some of them go. So you kind of got to push those things away to preserve what's most vital. That Jing energy, right? What is most vital for you? What are you preserving this winter? And that's a personal question that you only will know, nobody else. And so to kind of transition to the kidneys and the urinary bladder lines, or these two organs, just to give a little bit of information on it, because I do think it's important. In Chinese medicine, the kidneys are the storehouse of our vital energy, or our Jing, or essence. It relates to growth, reproduction, and how we move through cycles of life. Our bones, our joints, our teeth, our ears, our brain, marrow are influenced by the kidneys. So the kidneys ignite all processes and functions within the entire body, within our mind and our spirit. So it's this driving chi energy and willpower that is needed to overcome obstacles and to press forward to accomplish our goals, and really live out our fullest potential. So we work in winter to draw upon this energy reserves of the kidney simply by taking care of ourselves, prioritizing that element of water, but also prioritizing how are we flowing through challenges in our life. So in the yin class that I recorded, there is a emphasis on meridian lines of the kidney and urinary bladder. If you've ever had acupuncture done, those points where the acupuncture needles make contact with essentially are your meridian lines. They're all over the body, and it helps move stagnant energy. It helps balance out that energy. And you can use yin yoga, you can use these poses to also stimulate that energy. So acupuncture is a really beautiful practice. I go all year long, but in winter especially, or even in the transitional seasons where there's a lot of stagnation, it's a great way to get things flowing. So, and then to talk a little bit about the urinary bladder, it's compared to a reservoir where the waters of the body collect. Its acupuncture meridian is the longest one of the entire body. It begins at the eyes, it travels over the head and the back of the neck and down the sides of the spine to the back of the knees, all the way through the whole body. So that's why you'll see a lot of forward folding, a lot of this like turning inward and moving the energy through those meridians that run on the back of the body. So both of these are extremely important, and winter is an opportunity to focus on the health and the spirit of the kidneys and the urinary bladder. And slowing down, getting plenty of rest, eating well, and eating in-season foods, drinking lots of fluids, and adapting a restorative wellness routine like yin or restorative yoga will help support these organ systems and really boost their vitality. So I hope you'll join me in that yin practice. I would recommend wearing loose clothing and just get comfy. And then after the practice, my intention is really to take some time to maybe light a candle to represent the light that is coming back, and get a journal out. You might create a little altar. I like to put my candle, I like to put flowers and plants that represent this time of the year, maybe some evergreen, some holly, and kind of create this altar and have a little ritual moment where you write down a reflection of the last year of 2024, where you reflect on your challenges, your accomplishments, how you've grown, what you're ready to let go of, what you're forgiving, what you're healing this winter. Taking about 10-15 minutes to write about that, and then after that, writing in some 2025 intentions. How are you walking into 2025? What are you calling in? Think about that. Think about what you are visualizing to see grow in spring. It doesn't have to be like all of next year. I like to think about spring, really, just kind of getting to that, to March, because really the new year begins in March. So writing down, and I'll attach these questions, but thinking about, reflecting on the past and then the future as well. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope that, you have a beautiful winter solstice and that you can move through this next season with intention and slowness and courage. Thank you so much for being here. I'll leave you there. I'll bring my hands together at heart center, and from my heart to yours, I humbly bow. Thanks.